Welcome to the Health Revolution, the show that leads you to a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity through a sea of fads. We reveal the science behind the strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery, the keys to an enriched life. See inspiring interviews with the champions who've conquered life's challenges. Are you ready to unlock your potential to live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest together. If you want to change the game, it all starts now. Joining us today, I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, and no matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button because we want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, there is a tab for today's episode. There are episode show notes. Definitely keep in mind of that. There's some important reference information for today. Now, as we continue on with our show, and we love to have the conversations about the physical strength of the human body, the emotional resilience, and the mental mastery. There are times that we really got to delve into that mental mastery piece, the emotional resilience. Today, we are talking about life after betrayal and what happens when we are experiencing life happening in a way that we could not anticipate. Our guest today is someone who's an author, a speaker, and she is quite the transformation coach. I'm excited for you to see her so that we can have that conversation and dive deeper into how to handle such a subject as this. First, take a look at this. Meet Sam Bailey, a beacon of resilience and transformation. Born in Canada and now rooted in Texas, Sam's life took a dramatic turn after uncovering a world of betrayal that shattered her foundation. But from the depths of despair, she rose, turning her pain into purpose. Through her deeply personal book, Deceptive Liaisons, and her journey to becoming a certified post betrayal transformation coach, Sam is helping others heal from the emotional devastation of betrayal. Her mission? To empower those who feel broken to reclaim their lives, find their strength, and emerge stronger than ever. Today we sit down with Sam to uncover her story of resilience and the powerful tools she shares to help others transform their own lives.
I'm doing great. Thank you. What a wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone.
I appreciate your time. And this is obviously, we're going to dive into quite the journey of yours. Let's start off by, how did you get to this point, and what did betrayal look like for you?
Yeah, well, I have to go back about just over 5 years. And I was living in Hawaii, absolutely loving paradise. I had made some wonderful friends and had a great job that I loved, and was just enjoying for the first time being an empty nester. I have 6 adult children that are now grown, thankfully, and just loving life there. Until one day I discovered that my husband was having what I thought was one affair, but it turned into over a dozen affairs in a short period of time with sugar babies, escorts, and prostitutes. Along with that, he spent almost our entire retirement savings on his escapades, I don't know what else to call it, his affairs, and put me in a very, very dark place for a very long time. When I discovered it, my whole body went into shock. I don't remember parts of it. There are days and sometimes hours that I don't know where time went because I was in such shock and very devastated with the news that I had uncovered, because I thought I had, a great marriage, not perfect, but great. And I was content, and it really rocked my world.
Were there signs that, in hindsight, that you missed, but then looking back, connecting the dots, and it was clearer to see reflecting on memories.
Yes and no. The no is I didn't think there were signs. I'm like, how could have I not known? And there were no signs. But for 3 years, I thought that way until I started my healing journey, and I realized there were lots of signs. And I counted almost over 20 of them that, had I taken note, I could have uncovered things a lot sooner. But when you trust someone fully, 100%, you take them at their word. And I believed everything he said, didn't think I needed to check up on things. But there were some things that he did that, looking back, absolutely, there were signs.
How long were you married?
Just over 20 years.
And how did you find out? What was the first inkling that something was wrong?
Yeah, great question. I found out it was the morning of my birthday, about 1 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. So I went downstairs and I decided to watch some TV, play some games, do whatever. And a thought came into my head, check his email. And I'm like, I've never been a snoop before. Why do it now? But I found myself Googling Yahoo email, putting his email in. And I'm like, well, I don't know his password, so this isn't going to work. But I guessed it on first try and I was in score. And I thought, well, I'm not going to tell him this because, I was feeling a little bit guilty. And everything looked good when I opened up the email. Email exchanges from friends, myself, work. Everything looked normal until I hit archive. And the first reservation I kind of scrolled over because it was when he was in Phoenix for a business trip the week earlier. But the next hotel reservation was for the following night, the day after my birthday, for two, queen bed, at a beachfront hotel in Waikiki. And I'm kind of still disbelieving, like, oh, maybe it's a surprise for me. But he had asked to go out for drinks after work with some friends. So I was still at the point where I didn't believe what I saw until I got to work. But before I asked him after I got ready for work. I brought him his coffee, and I asked him if he was having an affair on me. And he looked me straight in the eyes and said, I would never, babe, I love you too much. I would never do that to you. So anyway, I got to work, and there were streamers, balloons, presents all around my desk, and I'm like, I don't feel like celebrating this. I just, was feeling like this is not real, but it was. And a coworker came in and asked what was wrong, and I just kind of, the floodgates started, and I said, my husband's having an affair. And then I quickly looked at the email, told her I needed to go home. And the archived email, which was um, supposedly he was in Phoenix, it was on island at a beachfront resort again, in Kaneohe for the 4 days that he was gone. So he was there the whole time. And that's what did it for me. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was having what I thought was an affair. And I got home. He called me a couple of times. I let it go to voicemail. Then I picked up, and he said, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just not feeling well. I didn't sleep well last night. Decided to take the day off. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, I'm going to ask him again. I said, are you having an affair on me? And this time he was almost like angry. He's like, why are you asking me this? You know I wouldn't do that to you. I love you. You just need to stop it. Like I'm the crazy one asking. And then I pretty much lost it after he said that. And I said, I know you were not in Phoenix last week. And I know you're also seeing her at a hotel tomorrow night. And there was what I felt the longest pause on the phone. And it might have only been 5 seconds, but that confirmed what I had uncovered was true, that he was having an affair. And that's when I dropped to the floor. Don't remember much other than saying, like, who is she? End it now. How long? Where did you meet? And just all these questions kind of spilling out. And, I want to contact her. Just so that's how I found out initially.
And so then the journey from that moment until you decided that it was time to step away, or that it was time to throw in the towel and step away from your marriage. How long did that journey take, and what were some things that you concluded that made you decide it's just not it's not salvageable. My marriage is not
Yeah.
salvageable.
Yeah, it was almost 3 years total. And I had he was good. We went to counseling together, separate therapy. He joined a group. He had also a huge porn addiction, which led to his addiction to have affairs. And he was doing everything right, but I was also babysitting him. I had an app that tracked everywhere he was, and anytime he went out for lunch or was with anyone, he would take a picture of who he was with. And it created a little bit of anxiety, because every time I'm looking on this app, where is he, what he's doing? And I didn't need to have that anymore. I was tired of, what I call babysitting. And I told him I was going to give back control. And, everything he was doing was just, awesome, amazing. He was doing and saying the right things. And so I also gave him back my debit card. I had taken over the finances at that point, but I wanted to separate our accounts and start putting a little aside. um, and so I said, here, change the password, and um, I'm just, I'm still going to pay the bills and go from there. So within a week's time, what he didn't realize was the account was still joint. So even though he changed his password, I still was able to access the account, and saw within a week he had um, signed up for a profile on at least two, sleazy dating sites. And then a week before our 20th anniversary, this is like, it took him a week to find this girl. He met a girl 27 years old and had sex with her in a hotel and paid her $300. And a week later was our 20th anniversary, and I gave him divorce papers on that day. I was done. I had boundaries I had set, and that was one of them. I was willing to forgive and move on. I still forgive, but I'm not going to be taken advantage of anymore.
What helped you prepare for that moment, even though that was a turning point? Clearly, signs that he was not invested in the marriage from what you're saying, and that he was going back on what all that was probably laid out with therapy and the what you all had agreed to do, and yet this was happening behind your back. What gave you the strength to move forward then and recognize that it's time to change paths?
I think I realized my worth at that time, and I was worth more than what I was getting. And I wanted to stand up for myself and be strong, and realize that I did my best. I tried. I absolutely loved him. I wanted it to work, but I had set boundaries and I was going to stick by them. And one of them was no more cheating. And if you do, I'm out of here. And I stuck to those boundaries.
You mentioned that you have 6 kids and they're grown. How did you how did you break the news, or how did you both break the news? How did the family process this together?
I had him tell the kids, and I wasn't around. That way they wouldn't feel bad about asking questions or anything like that. So they talked to him, and several of them didn't want to speak to him for the longest time. I actually bridged that gap because, for one, I didn't want them to make choice, or take sides. And he was a great father, is a great father. And I reminded them that even though, he was always there for you in good times and bad times. And right now, this is a bad time for him, and he needs you. So, slowly but surely they came around, and I definitely supported that, because they experienced trauma too. The family unit that they were used to was now broken. So, there was a lot of different people that were affected because he hid it from everyone.
And so he was forthcoming with them and answered their questions and all of that. And so then when how long ago was that moment in time from now? How long ago was that?
Uh, I would say it was August 26th, 2016,
Okay.
and he told them Thanksgiving 2016.
Ooh, that's a heavy holiday to
Yeah, and I still hadn't uncovered the full, you know, truth of everything yet.
and so then processing it as a family, I've got to commend you because it's hard not to separate feelings when you're discovering a lot of when you're discovering the what's behind the how the marriage is falling apart and how things are ending. How did you get through the holidays that year?
It was a blur. It was a big blur, honestly. I We went to Texas for Thanksgiving, and we were in Honolulu for the holidays. And I didn't want to put up any decorations. He went out and bought some decorations and put them up. And then I do remember this because it was fabulous. We celebrated New Year's at an event and saw fireworks over the ocean, and that was absolutely beautiful, bringing in 2020. So I think I said 2006, 2019. No,
Oh,
yeah,
2019. So
yeah,
still it was a few years ago. And
yeah.
and so then are you on speaking terms for adult kids matters, I guess if you can say, for anything relating to the kids, or do you have a is there any type of interaction or dialogue between the two of you today?
Not necessarily, only if it involves the kids.
Mhm.
I had a Boston Terrier. We had a Boston Terrier that we had together, and she's 13, and she's been sick of late. So I shared, with him, because he had a connection with her too. So just little things. I might send him a picture. I have 4 grandkids, so I might send him pictures of the grandkids who all live with me. He lives in a different city, and new friends, new wife, new everything.
Okay. And one question before we go to break. What allowed you, or rather, what made you decide that it was time to heal the right way in doing true work to move forward so that you're not in that state of bitterness or hurt? Because sometimes in life we do know societal tendencies for a betrayal like this, it's real easy to stay stuck. What helped you make the decision of, I'm going to do my work, I'm going to work on me, I'm going to get better?
Yeah, it was not just one thing. I think it was triggers. And when I left him, I realized that he was my biggest trigger. And then I realized, like, I can heal from this. And there are some other things that I did that brought me to that healing path. But that was one of them, was just realizing that the triggers were not necessarily ones that came up in my head. They were visually in front of me.
We've got a lot more to cover. First, we're going to take a commercial break. Stay right there.
So NAD is something that we use for people who are going through withdrawal symptoms, whether it's opioids, whether it's alcohol. GABA receptors in our brain is something that alcohol affects when we drink. So when you're going through alcohol withdrawals and I give you the calm bag or give you calm with GABA in it, it kind of gives your brain that kind of fix, so to speak, of the alcohol to help with the withdrawal symptoms. I'm not saying it gets rid of them. I'm not saying I give you GABA and you're good to go forever. That's not what I'm saying. It's again, just like everything we offer, it's a relief.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
Where we can grow from there if that is something that we're experiencing. My guest today, Sam Bailey, she is an author, speaker. She is a post-betrayal transformation coach. And before the break, we were talking about her journey, discovering she had uncovered her marriage of 20 years was over because of betrayal and affairs and such, and lying and cheating. And so, Sam, as I'm thinking about how you were highlighting that you had triggers, and I think it's important for us to recognize that sometimes we find ourselves, of course, I was married before previously. So in my first marriage, looking back, there were moments in which elements of the foundation wasn't as strong as I once thought it was. And, I'm curious, in your mind, how did you, looking back, you said that there were things that you noticed and things that you did not notice. What were some of the those whispers, the little hints that maybe something isn't the way it needs to be? What were some things that you were beginning to pick up that maybe you brushed off and said, that's probably nothing?
Yeah, it was. He would go on hikes, and it'd be pouring rain where we were, and then he would tell me, "Oh, but it's not raining where I'm hiking," and he'd say, "Oh, I'm going with my friend who he was hiking with." And a couple of times I said, take a picture, show me what you're doing. And he would take a picture, he would do a screenshot that he would Google of the beginning of the hike with the sign, but there were no people in the picture, not him or the friend that he was going with. And I never thought to check, the weather where he was, because he would never have hiked in the rain. And I never thought to maybe stop in at when he was going for happy hour after work, because he never stayed the full night. But when you can check in at 3 and you're home by 11, a lot can happen in that time. So I never thought to check out, the restaurant where he was going. I never checked when he had a flight to confirm he was actually going to where he said he was going, which was many times not the case. He took sugar babies to Vegas, to LA, several different places, and I one of the things that I'm regretting was I trusted him wholly and fully with our finances. We had discussed it. I had access to it any time, and I had looked at it, several times. But over time, I just learned to trust him. We agreed that my funds were going towards our retirement savings. We had in 2016, our mortgage was fully paid off, and we're really in a good place financially to retire when we wanted to retire. But that, again, didn't happen. And there were other things like untagging himself off of Facebook when I tag him, and he'd always say nice comments before, like, yeah, that's my girl, anything like that. And he started untagging him, and I didn't realize that he was doing that. But looking back, I'm like, well, who's he hiding from? Who does he not want to see us together in a picture? Several other things too. Um, One of the things I talked about are pictures that he would send on the iPhone. Now you can, or back then you can still now. When you click on the picture, it shows where it was taken. And I had purchased him a new pair of shoes the day before his Phoenix business trip, and he sent me a picture that Monday of his shoes. And later I looked back, and it showed the location was where he was working at the Honolulu airport. So little things like that, had I checked, I would have known. But when you trust someone, you're not snooping, and it wasn't really in my nature to do that because of the trust that I had.
Did he ever come fully clean with you and disclosed his indiscretions, or was it just a period of discovery that as you began to move forward towards divorce, that more things you were discovering more things?
It was more and more. In fact, I had 8 different D days, which are the day of discovery, your first one, and then you hope that's the last one. But over a year's time, and it was always not information that he would share. I would uncover something and then, show the evidence. But there were a few times that he took it a step too far and wanted me to see, like he was on a business trip in New Zealand, and he's like, well, it's legal there. And I had to wear a condom. Well, that didn't make me feel any better. And then he proceeds to say, oh, I got to interview 6 women, and I picked this 19-year-old one. And he took me to the website and showed me who he selected out of the 6 women. Um, so that was kind of devastating because it was like, TMI, you did not need to share that with me. So that kind of stuck in my head for a while and kind of messed with my brain.
So you started to go through your healing journey, and what was the turning point in your healing that really made the difference for you, that just allowed you to grow, that was challenging you, and what elements led you to become a post betrayal transformation coach?
Yeah, so I was looking through different websites, and I came across this website called the PBT Institute, and they offered a free quiz. And so I took the quiz, and you're rated from 1 to 5. One being you've just discovered the first time, you're traumatized, and 5 being, you're on a really good path towards your healing and life is good. Well, I came in at a number 3 and realized that the best way I can describe it was I was able to function and I was able to accept what had happened, but I was carrying this big, heavy ball and chain around. So I could go from point A to point B, but it was very exhausting and tiring and heavy. And I realized that I was kind of like in this rut of being stuck. I'm like, oh, I've got some more stages to go through. I thought I was okay, but I wasn't really living life to its fullest. I was just kind of like surviving, barely.
And so when you went through
So
the
that's what,
and
yeah,
as
I'm
you've gone
sorry.
through,
So,
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, what they do is based on your rating, they customize because healing is not a linear process. It's different for everyone. So they kind of customize depending on where you are in that, 1 to 5 scale, what classes you can take towards your healing journey. I wouldn't be taking the same classes as a number 1 who's just found out, or a number 5 who has gone through it and wants to perhaps be a PBT coach, get certified for that. So that's what I loved about it. So I signed up for all the courses, and then I realized that I really wanted to share, because I did so many things wrong. I wanted to share what I did wrong so no one else made, some of the mistakes that I made along the way. So I wanted to become a certified coach, and also that's how my book came about. I look back at, oops, had a little accident with the light. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
I
good.
had to the decided to be certified and wrote the book looking back at journaling, which I did a lot through the trauma that I experienced.
I do want to talk about the book, and so we're going to bring it up here. I know that it is in the final stages. The title is Deceptive Liaisons: Uncovering the Corrupt Secret World of Sugar Babies, Escorts, and Illicit Affairs. Tell us at what point did you decide you were going to write this book, and the premise behind it, and what was your own takeaway for writing this book?
Well, my own takeaway was it was part of my healing because there was so much that I had done that was, not, delaying things as far as healing. So writing it was like a release almost because you had to go back to that dark place and you had to like feel the heal. So it was a bit of a healing journey in and of itself. And I just looked at, what I'd written, and some of the things I couldn't believe because, I was in a fog half the time for a few months. And I'm glad I journaled everything and realized that, this is going to be a great book one day to help others who have experienced betrayal trauma and know, number 1, that they're not alone. Number 2, there is hope for healing, and you don't have to be carrying that big ball and chain around to move forward, because there is life after betrayal, and it's not about just surviving. It's about thriving and being joyful and loving the life that you're living with
You
a
know, and
purpose.
the book, yes, absolutely. And I think we all need to subscribe to the notion of living life with purpose, and turning that pain around to where we can feel the energy the right way. In your book, and I do, you've been gracious enough to share just one snippet of it, and I wanted to talk a little bit about about chapter 5. And I know that the title is Silent Steps, Screaming Scars. And if I may, I'd like to just share a little snippet with our audience. Chapter 5, you wrote, one scene you put, I replayed the scenes in my mind, searching for meaning and for some kind of answer. Each memory felt like a bruise, tender and raw, and no matter how much time passed, the ache didn't fade. I'd walk through the spaces where he had betrayed me, listened to his casual confessions, and instead of healing, I was left feeling emptier than ever. This journey hadn't mended anything, it had only torn open the wounds I didn't know how to close. I thought that was a very powerful description of reflecting where you were and grasping at elements to help you heal, and only having these moments of him just the nonchalant, perhaps as you described, the nonchalant conversations, the all of that, and feeling empty. Talk about what's important, how to move from that space. For say, if there's a viewer who's watching who is going through a similar betrayal, what's important to move from the space of emptiness to then taking action?
I actually like to share just three things, because if someone is experiencing that, they're overwhelmed. They don't want to be told, take this class, do this, do that, do that. It's your mind is so mixed up. So three really easy things to do. And number one is you need to talk to someone. There's some wonderful therapists out there who are specialized in betrayal. I first couple of times I saw someone who was not experienced in betrayal trauma, and I shared my story, and they were like, I was like the guinea pig. They wanted to write down my story, and they'd never heard anything like that before. So once I found someone that was certified, it was a much better path to go on. Number two, you want to avoid alcohol and cannabis. Alcohol is a depressant, and you already have a gaping wound. You don't need to add salt to it. Cannabis may or may not offer temporary relief, but the key word is temporary, and you're going to delay your healing. And last, but not least, is if you're going to talk to someone about it and share things, don't share it on social media or friends that are gossipers. Find a trusted friend that you can share, that it won't go past. And there are wonderful groups on Facebook that are specific for anyone who's experienced betrayal, and you can even post anonymously, and there's some great tips and help for healing in those groups as well. So if you do want to share what you've been through, it's great to hear from other people who have also experienced what you're going through, so that they can offer help and suggestions of what worked for them.
And you're right about that. I think that there are, and we've all probably experienced friends, loved ones, dear friends of ours who have gone through hurt. I know I've seen on social media where friends just let it all hang out. And I think it's more, they do it in a sense of like a desperate plea to close ranks with people who can support them. But then it can backfire to put it all out there. Rather selective posting, as you mentioned, the private groups in which, which you're able to, it's a safer space to be amongst those who understand this particular journey. Because then some people revel in other people's just backsliding in life, where other people are struggling with obstacles, and some just unfortunately that they take maybe delight in seeing somebody being down. So that's another thing that doesn't add to that. We're going to take a commercial break. We're coming right back. We got more for you. Thank you so much for watching The Health Revolution. Our show is growing, and it's all thanks to viewers like you. No matter how you found us, please hit the subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue to deliver amazing content to you. Hi, I'm Adriana, and welcome to Fit Bites. The holidays can be a joyous time, but they can also bring stress with busy schedules, family commitments, and financial pressures. Let's talk about how to manage holiday stress so you can enjoy the holiday season. First, set realistic expectations. You don't have to do everything perfectly or say yes to every invitation. Focus on what truly matters to you and your loved ones. Plan ahead and stay organized. Create a schedule for shopping, events, and cooking to avoid last-minute chaos. Prioritizing your time can help you feel more in control. Take breaks for yourself. Even a short walk, a few deep breaths, or 10 minutes of quiet can help recharge your mind and reduce tension. Stay active and eat mindfully during this time. Exercise can boost your mood, and maintaining a balanced diet can help prevent energy crashes and irritability. Finally, don't hesitate to ask for help. Sharing responsibilities with family or friends can lighten the load and make the season more enjoyable. Remember, the holidays are about connection and joy. Take a moment to breathe, relax, and savor the season. Stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana. She's an author, speaker, a post-betrayal transformation coach, and we have been talking about life after betrayal and how you can heal moving forward. And, Sam, before the break, you started to dive into some of the components that allowed you to help heal, and you gave some important input as to elements that helped you. I'm curious, so in starting this new chapter in your life, does your ex-husband know that of this book's existence? Does he know? Any thoughts about that? What is or even family thoughts about it?
All my kids know. I don't think he knows yet. I'm sure he will eventually. The book doesn't use his name or reference. It's always my husband or my ex. I don't even give him a name in the book. So, yeah. So I'm sure he'll find out eventually. But
And I think it's incredible that you are leaning forward and you're continuing to grow. So as you are getting the word out and you're sharing your story, I know that you had shared with me before that you started to jump on a variety of different programs to share your story. And I want to talk about that a little bit. And then also, you are starting a program of your own. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? What was it like verbalizing to other people, making it more public that this private journey of yours is a tool that you're using to help others?
yeah, I it's funny if you look at my first podcast and my most recent ones. I've been on many, and the first one was just, oh my gosh, I was so nervous, and what color do I wear, and I had nothing in the background, and I didn't know about virtual anything. And in fact, I didn't even know what podcast was. I'd never experienced anything like that. But once I got comfortable with speaking and sharing my story, it just got a little bit easier. And I met so many, hosts that everyone seemed to either have experienced betrayal trauma or know someone that was going through it and experiencing it. So, there are a lot of people out there that are hurting and need help. And I'm so grateful to have the different platforms to share my story, to offer that hope to others.
And I want to put a split screen because obviously we have a slide that is a testament to you being. This is a representation of one of the many other programs that you're on, and of course we're honored to have you on our TV show. Talk about the upcoming program that you are creating. What's it called, and what's in the works for your podcast?
Yeah, well, it's called Stronger Than Yesterday, and I already have several guests lined up. One of them, and it'll be about anyone who has experienced any kind of trauma and come through it on the other end. My first guest, who is a universal speaker, both international and nationally, he had a fear of being on the stage and had to overcome that and how he overcame that. And his story is just amazing. It's not just, getting the jitters. It's was very severe fear based on some traumas that he experienced when he was growing up. So, and one of my other guests will be Dr. Debbie, who founded the PBT Institute. And I'm really grateful to have her as a guest because she's not easy to come by, but she'll be sharing some wonderful things as well. And like I said, I'm in the works. I'm setting that up. I hope to do 2 podcasts per week, depending on how many guests I have lined up. And I'm really excited about it.
When can we expect it to air?
I would say mid-January 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's coming very soon, and it's pretty exciting, and and I do believe that it's a powerful way to have more conversations about that, because and it's also important to for all of us to recognize that trauma isn't necessarily just related to an affair, but trauma can be something that is so shocking, something that maybe feels like it comes out of left field, that the processing, it's very taxing, the energy, the emotions going through and navigating through that rough chapter. I think there's different life scenarios that could qualify as a type of trauma that people experience.
Yeah, and there's no gender bias to trauma, or betrayal trauma. It happens to men and women. And I primarily speak to women because it's my experience. But PBT also has great resources for men who have experienced betrayal.
Will you marry again? Do you ever see yourself in a relationship again?
Maybe. I'm
Okay.
kind of in one right now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. And I do feel like I think it's great to be able to say when you've done your work and you continue moving forward that you put yourself in a position where new connections can foster new relationships going forward. And for me, when I went through my divorce, I had raised, and of course, we just were no longer, it just was no longer working. But I had gotten to the point where when I raised the bar on myself, then I was setting myself up to be a much better version of who I was, and then to set the stage to meet my husband. And so I don't like when people say, "Whoa, that's it, marriages don't work." No, my marriage didn't work. It's not like all marriages didn't work, just mine didn't work. So, but I think that is a testament, and so it's good to hear that that you're moving forward, and this is something that is just a story developing, of course.
Yeah,
So,
I would recommend though to go through the healing process before you jump into a relationship because you might have a tendency to choose the same type of partner if you haven't gone through and recognized, what caused everything and not make those wrong choices again.
Definitely raising the bar and doing the homework. That's a difference maker for sure. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. Author, speaker, and welcome back to the Health Revolution, everybody. My guest today, Sam Bailey, author, speaker, and post-betrayal transformation coach. She's been spending some quality time sharing with us life after betrayal and how to move forward. Sam, go ahead and tell us where can we find you in the virtual space?
Sure, you can reach out to me anytime through help, the number 4, betrayaltrauma.com. You can also sign up for the pre-orders of my book, which will be available any day now. If you click on pre-order, scroll down, put your email, name, address, whatnot, click submit, and you'll be the first and only group that gets to pre-order, and 100% profit of sales from pre-orders or going to feedingamerica.org. And you can also reach out to me if you want a coaching session. I'm offering that through that website as well. And you can get a little snippet of what the book is all about as well. Oh, and there are, most importantly, several links for different resources for help for betrayal.
You're also on social media, so I know you're on Facebook, and definitely we want to highlight your private group. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a group where women are just sharing their stories, offering, help as far as what worked for them. Some of them have just experienced betrayal, and some of them, have been through it, years now. So it's healing after betrayal, finding strength together. You can search under groups and find us. It's a private group. You have to submit some questions before you are accepted as a member. And you can also post anonymously once you're accepted. If you're not comfortable with, sharing your story with your name, you can definitely post anything anonymously as well.
Also, you are on Instagram as well, and then also you're on TikTok. Is that right? You're on for author Sam Bailey, and that's for our audience to be able to go to you on those platforms, social media platforms. A lot of a wealth of knowledge. It's so much happening for you, and I'm so excited. Lots happening for 2025. Sam Bailey, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to share and hopefully help others realize that they're not alone and there is hope for healing.
Absolutely. And for our viewers, of course, our website is thehealthrevolutiontv.com. And there you can subscribe to our newsletter. You can certainly email us with any show episode ideas that you might have that you'd love for us to cover. Upper corner of your screen, you'll find our QR code if that's a little bit easier for you to grab. And then, of course, every Tuesday and Thursday, you can find us here on E360 TV, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. That is all all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We will see you soon.